Hi, this is Mrs. White, and we're going to talk about ratios and proportions, which is actually what you've already learned in Math 8 or pre-algebra. So this is just going to build off some concepts you already know. Right now, go ahead and pause and make sure you get down these definitions. The first one is ratio, and it's just a comparison of two quantities by division. So you can see a ratio of 2 to 1, or you can see it written like this, 2 to 1 with and notated like that. But don't drop off the 1 on the bottom of the fraction because that's important. It's in a ratio of 2 to 1. Proportions is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. So you can have A over B is equal to C over D and fill in some numbers and we can solve with that. We're going to talk about an extended ratio. It's 3 or more. So you can have an extended ratio of A to B to C. And we're going to do practice with that right now. So, looking at this, it says the lengths of the sides of a triangle are in the extended ratio of 4 to 7 to 9. It doesn't mean that they are 4, 7, and 9, but they're in a ratio. So anytime you see something like this, you're going to go ahead and put an X after the side length. So now they're in the ratio of 4X, 7X, and 9X. It tells us that the perimeter is 60. So, to find the perimeter of a triangle, you're just adding up all three sides. 4x plus 7x plus 9x equals 60. So when you combine like terms there and simplify, you should get 20x equals 60 and divide by 20, so our x is equal to 3. The question says what are the lengths of the sides, so we're going to go ahead and plug this in. 4 times 3 gives us 12. 9 times 3 gives us 27, and 7 times 3 is 21. So you can go ahead and check and add them up because you know 12 plus 27 plus 21 should all add up to equal 60, which is the perimeter. So that's the extended ratio example. I'm going to ask a surprise guest to come in and help us out. I have Zach Dunn, who's a senior at Grassfield High School and is an AP Calc. He's going to refresh your memory on cross multiplying.
Alright, so you want to multiply the 9 and the 14, and then the 2 and the A. Instead of like 2A equals 9 times 14, and A should equal 63. And for this one, you will do 15 times M, and then 3 times M plus 1, and set it up like 15 times M equals 3 times M plus 1, and make sure you use the distributive property, and M should equal 1/4.
Great. Thanks, Zach. All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about 3 different properties of proportions. And the first one is called the reciprocal. And remember, reciprocal means flip. So really, what you're going to do is if A over B equals C over D, then you're allowed to flip these and say B over A is equal to D over C. What happens and what all these properties mean is that you don't change the proportion because you get the same answer. So if you flip it and cross multiply, you would still get that same answer. The interchange property says, and I also tell you guys to think of it as a diagonal switch, is what you're going to do is switch your B and your C. So if A over B equals C over D, if you switch it and say A over C equals B over D, you're still going to get the same proportion. Lastly is denominator add. So the denominator is the bottom part of your fraction. And what you're going to do is add the denominator to the numerator. So A plus B over B should equal C plus D over D. Okay? If you do all these to the original proportion, okay, if you flip it or if you switch it or if you add to the top, you're still going to get the same answer if you were doing like 6 over 12 equals X over 9. So, for instance, if this was our original A over B equals C over D, if you flip it and do 12 over 6 equals 9 over X and cross multiply, X will still be the same. If you interchange it and do 6 over X equals 12 over 9 and cross multiply, X will be the same. And lastly, if you denominator add and do 6 plus 12 over 12, and equal that to x plus 9 over 9, sorry I ran out of room, and cross multiply, you will still get x to be the same thing as with this one, the original one you started with. That's what all the properties mean. So let's take a look at these 4. We're going to do the first one together, and then I'm going to have you do 2, 3, and 4 on your own. So if you start with 7 over 10 equals x over y, and then you go to 10 over 7. Well, if you notice, what we did is flip the 10 and the 7, so we did the reciprocal. Therefore, that 10 over 7 should then equal y over x. Okay? So take a minute, pause, and see if you can fill in the blanks for 2, 3, and 4, and determine what property they're actually using. All right, so here are the answers. Let's take a look. Number 2 is the same idea, except for we are doing the interchange. So we interchange the x and the 24. So 6 over 24 should equal x over y. And number 3, if you notice from this set to that set, we've actually did the denominator add and added x to the top. And number 4, if you look, what we're doing from the first set to the second is adding the denominator. So actually how to get 16, what I did was do 11 plus 5 over 11 and just simplify that to 16 over 11 for your fill in the blank. Okay? So we are done with section 7.1.